through. Yeah, Luze Andrew Anderson is my name, and from wherever you are catching me from, with the it doesn't matter which part of the continent. Well, I want to start by saying good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night for some of you. Yes, as I always tell you, I'm a single dad. So most times at around this time, that's when my son. Let me check my sound. Yeah, is my name. Yeah, most times at around this time, that's the time when my son is supposed to be sleeping. But right now he's still awake. But of course, he's down here on his laptop watching cartoons. I don't know. He loves cartoons so much. But anyway, this is the topic. This is what we're going to be talking about today. This is what we're going to be talking about today. And people, they don't care. Basically, they don't care. Who don't care? Well, animals care more, yeah? Animals care more. Animals mind more. If you have a dog, I have 6 dogs for the people who have been following. I have 6 dogs. That's with the mother. But these dogs, you feed a dog once. I think you've heard of that saying. You feed a dog once, and of course, that dog will always be there for you. It will never forget. You feed it only once. Embwa ojiri somulundi gumo, and it will forever remember you. Never na Uganda, not na Uganda. People are all around. People just don't care. Let me give you briefly. Let me first give you briefly about this channel, because most of you, Mwalimu Chimanyi, know it was a political YouTube channel, but we changed. Why did we change? For 7 years, ngangezaako, when the president came, ngangezaako kubanga nkikwasaganya. Most of you didn't know that Luze Andrew Anderson was the one running this channel. But when I changed, and then people also started changing. And they forget, remember, I never used to put my number on this platform. Naristekako number yange. I never used to put my face there for some reasons. But I was with you, I was with you all through. And then, because things changed a little, I have a son. I'm a single dad, by the way. I've been unemployed. I keep saying it. I've been unemployed for like 5 years. It's still at your nation now. I'm been of your maniocola for 15 years. I've been doing TV presenting. Now, because there was a twist and change of things, if you have how you guys didn't notice, and then I got people go ahead and subscribing, and people are leaving, and I was okay with it. And I'm like, if I was there, emyaka musanvu. Remember this channel when the president said everyone should give out something. Buli omu aweeyo ekintu kyasobola okuwaayo. Kyali now, me, I had my channel, yeah, but na mulimu gwange ogw'oku TV. I had my channel, and it was doing okay. So when I did so, and when things changed, people just don't want to know they went. Remember, in 2026, now my son is officially starting to study, yeah. So maybe this serious. So now you're supposed to be serious also, You're supposed to be serious at what you're doing. And for me, I've always told people like me, I've never worked in my life, by the way. I've never worked. Why? I love what I do. Of course, Sylvia, Namvaro, how you doing? Bigger. Yeah. So at the end of the day, when we change the concept, then everyone changed, which is understandable. But for the period I've been there, yeah, I've worked with artists, music artists. I've worked with creators, yeah. I've worked with very many people. And one thing I've learned with all of them is that when everyone reaches a step where they want to reach, then most of the time, either they remove the ladder. If they don't remove the ladder, maybe, they move on. I don't want to mention names, but you, even in your life, you've been with people, maybe your girlfriends, maybe your boyfriends, maybe, friends, but, you were in a hustle, you had the same goal, you were all ambitious to do the same thing, but eventually, when they get there, yeah, they disappear. Initially, when I was starting off, I opened up a company at one point. It was called Viral Media Company. Basically, we were going to be into live streaming. We could do weddings, photography, anything that involves videography and photography. So I happened to have, I think it was in the first lockdown. So I had my friends, who are not working. I called all of them out, and I'm like, guys, you come through. So all of them came through. So we started working on a project. I gave them my idea. I was like, guys, I want to open up a media company. We are going to be doing live streaming, because that's when the whole idea and the concept came through. Like, people want to watch, people want to be seeing what is happening given the time that they are home. And of course, with the first lockdown, it changed the way how life, it changed the entire life worldwide. Now people more work from home than reporting at work. So I call a chunk of people. The point, by the way, the topic today, they don't care. Just like how you see it here, they don't care. So now I call the team of people, and I got a photographer, I got an editor, I got a videographer. I called all these people. I sold to them my dream. And imagine, by then it wasn't like I was earning a lot. I was earning almost the same money as they were earning, but because I had a dream, so all these people came together. I got a building where I put all of them. They could stay there, they could sleep there. Those who want to sleep, they could eat, and they could do everything. This is the topic. Don't forget, they don't care. So when we started putting to life this dream, then they learned. I had to teach them how some things are done, how to be audible. I was like, just in case a month could come out and maybe we've not made enough money because we are just starting up as a company. So what could happen? By the way, anyway, let's first keep on. So I told them, in case money doesn't come, at least all of you would be having where to earn money. So I gave them different ventures, and I supported them all in the different ventures. So eventually, some of them have never earned $1 million. They had never earned $1 million in their entire life, even at the workplaces they were. So now here we come, and then I show them, I teach them, and they make money. And immediately they made money, their first $1 million. The thing they are thinking of now is to make me fail, the person who sold an idea to them. So ever since that time, my perspective towards people changed. But even prior to, I used to deal again with artists, and they're like, if we ever achieve this, I don't know if you've been there, more so when it comes to girls, when you get your boyfriend and you find him when he's broke. Your boyfriend is broke, he's just starting off, and basically he can afford you, and he's like, when we make it, we will enjoy. So the innocent girls, stay around, they stick around, in thick, they are there, to support their husbands. And eventually, when the husband makes it, and then they look for the better half, they would have gotten. So they leave this one, they drop you, they move to another one. So that has happened in my life a couple of times, not once, not twice, not thrice. And I'm very sure even you too. There are people who have disappointed you. You had a dream, but when either they backstabbed you, or whether when the dream had started moving and they got something out of it, then they disappear. That happened to me not once, not twice, not thrice. So now I started looking at people in a different way. Then it was more of, how can we collaborate? How can we work together? So now I'm so intentional when I'm working with anyone. I'm like, how are they benefiting? The first question I always ask, how are you benefiting? Why am I asking? How are you benefiting? Because at the end of the day, you don't know their ambitions, But when you're on a clear platform and then well and good. So the first phase, when I was working on TV, the artists disappointed me. The people were like, when we do it, we will all enjoy it together. We pushed, they made it. Some of them are the top, artists we are having in the country. They forgot. Why? Because time passed. And of course, you're not supposed to blame them, because that is life. That is human nature. That is one. Two, now I open up a company. I call all these people, they backstab. It has also happened to you. That is the second time. Now the third time, for the people I really trusted, and I'm like, now guys, this is it. So they didn't know who was behind. Again, it happened. So now it creates a mentality, it differentiates, because most of the people are born good. You're born a nice person, you're born caring, you're born, you want to share, you're born, you want to associate. But the life we go through changes us. But remember, I always tell you, whatever we talk about, just like how we wrote it up here. Yeah, they don't care. I always end when in our conclusion I give you how you can always work with it. Yeah, how you can solve that. So now, if it has not happened to you, better learn from someone before it happens to you. Yes, true, of course, experience is the best teacher, but don't wait for something to happen to you. Things have happened to me. So now all these people disappoint. So now my mentality changed. I feel I'm picky, I'm so intentional. I'm like, why is this happening? Because once hurt, twice shy, So now I'm so intentional. Everything that happens, more so in my life and the people that I associate with, I want to know what is it basically that they want. What is it they want from me? And at the end of the day, what is it that I want from them? And what if I don't get it? Then how am I supposed to react? You get the point? Because these things have happened with our parents. For the people who go abroad, they are working and then they send money back home. It's called black money. And then they are supposed to build for them maybe houses. You're working, you're in snow, you're in desert. It is so hot out there. But of course, you're like, this has to work. And then you come back home, your mother, your father, the people you were sending money to, they misused it, for different other things. And because they are your parents, you can do nothing. Because they are your brothers and sisters, you can do nothing. So before you know it, the person who was good and kind, they end up changing and they become bad. And why? Because of how people treated them. And then you find, I used to see, rich people when they're driving their cars, more so when it has rained, and they don't care who is on the road. And I used to be like, why are these people like this? Why are these people really like this? Until when I grew up and I got all these experiences, and then I was like, oh, people really hurt them so much that right now they don't care. Those are the people you find and they're like, me, I don't like people. Right now, me, I don't like people for some reasons. Fine, I can associate, I can talk. I'm picky, I'm intentional. I want to know the details. Why? Because they've disappointed many times. And when that happens, now it moves generation to generation. But how can you do? Because you know what I'm going to do? We're not going to take it so long. Yeah? But what can you do? Most of it doesn't affect you. If you're doing things for people, now one thing I've learned, I do it and I'm not expecting nothing. I'm not expecting nothing like, I will get this and I'll get that. If I do for this person, this, because even your brothers and your sisters and your relatives and your parents can still disappoint you. So you do whatever you do out of good intent and you expect you go to bed with your laptop. No, wait, I finished working. Yeah. So at the end of the day, you do it with good intent, expecting totally nothing from them. Because as you expect and they disappoint you, it is the biggest disappointment of life. It is the biggest disappointment of life. So how do you deal with it? Be intentional. Be like you're using me, I'm using you. Yeah. If you feel not comfortable, that's why I was telling people, it is always very important to help someone else when you're comfortable. If you find someone who is hungry, yeah, first make sure you are satisfied, yeah, you are full, and then you can give a hand. Now it is time for taking back kids to school, yeah. You imagine, it's time for taking back kids to school. Before you can pay fees, tuition for your sister's kids, your mother's kids, your brother's kids, first make sure your kids are sorted to the detail. To the detail, what do I mean? Of course, you've paid the tuition, you've paid the fees, you've bought them the basic needs, if they are in boarding section, you've bought basically everything they need. You've given them good pocket money, and then at that time, you're like, cool. Now the balance is the one you're supposed to use to give a hand. Because you will regret and you're like, really, why did I? Because you reach the time when you need them, and guess what? They won't be able to help you. Surely they won't be able to help you. So that has happened even with the closest people. Just like the people we vote in power. When you're in the struggle, you're like, this has to happen, we have to do. When they get there, things change, currently in Uganda there was, elections were going on, and of course we could see all these parliamentarians and all these leaders, they go to the ground, they go with the people, with the women in the market, they associate, even if it's a mad person, they would love to, to be like showing love. But again, Talon, no, but again, when they get in the position that they really wanted these people to put them into, then they change. So at the end of the day, you better know that, I'm expecting nothing. And if they pay back, or if they remember you, at least it is a bonus. But it's not something you're supposed to be expecting. This has happened in very many people's lives, and it has changed them. You find someone who was really nice, someone who was really nice and someone who was really good, and they change. And like, what happened? Because of the situation and the environment and the community they are in. And of course, this has to start with one person. If people say spread love, that's what I always say. But I also change. So you also have to be intentional, intent. Be calculative, so that you're not heartbroken. Yeah. So these things happen. It has happened to me. So now I'm in a new journey of my life, and I hope you can also pick a leaf. Be like, okay, now everyone I deal with, me, I was so good that the entire time I've lived, ever since I started working like 21 years ago when I started working, professional working. I've never spent like 2-3 years. I've never spent even 6 months staying alone, or me and my family. They could always be some etceteras. And when I was alone, it was even worse. You could be in the house and we are like 6 and 7, 8 of us. Initially, I got a phone call from my friend, still again, in London. That was Charles Mke, and he was telling me, Anderson, you used to be with lots of people. What happened? I thought these guys, I was like, nah. People, I wouldn't really want to discourage people who associate, but you're supposed to be calculative and intentional, because they disappoint. Tyler, wait. So at the end of the day, they will disappoint, and it will change the person in you, and that is the worst thing. Me right now, I'm advocating for your well-being, being nice, being happy. That's what I'm advocating for. So if someone hurts you or they break your heart, it changes you, and when it changes you, it's going to affect very many people around you, and those even who are good, you will never notice whether they are good or they have good intention or bad intention. But because you were once hurt, so now you do not tolerate any nonsense. I have a sister of mine, by the way, once in a while we'll start working with her. I don't know why. When she started her family, because we grew up as a family, and it was with no parents, but we grew up as a family. And when she got married, she started being a little, I wouldn't say really private, but it was her and her family, her and her family. Her and her new family, not us, because now she was married. So now, I was like, why does she do that? If you're going there, you're supposed to communicate fast. She was so like someone who, whatever she does, she has to analyze, why am I doing this? Why am I inviting this kind of people? So I could not understand it, not until when I grew up, and I was like, oh, you do your nice family. Fine, you have your siblings, you have your parents, now you're married, you've gone to another family, and now the biggest mistake you will do is starting to pick your relatives or your siblings to bring them in your family. You're bringing in your friends in your family. That's where everything goes west. Everything changes, and before you know it, the person who was good, they change to be the worst. They don't want to. I grew up seeing, have you seen big houses fenced, big house fenced with barbed wire, alarms, with a security guard, with a gun, again with the dog. And you're like, what is it these guys are protecting? Don't judge them. Don't judge them. You don't know what they've gone through. Because maybe people have hurt them so much that right now, they just don't want to associate. If you come and communicate, and if they sit you down and they tell you that these guys used to be good people, you cannot even believe it. And when they tell you their story, you'll be like, what? You know, like in the movies, how we watch, most when it comes to Nigerian movies, like you have a friend, a girl, you know, it's a new couple. Now this girl has a girlfriend, then the girlfriend comes in, or maybe it's a maid, and before you know it, the maid is now the lady is the queen of the place, is the queen of the home, and you're like, why did I invite them? So to prevent all this, you're supposed to be intentional. The reason why sometimes I come here and I tell you these things, I'm giving you the experience I've had over time. I've grown up. The entire time I've been working, I've been dealing with people. Yeah, I've been dealing with people. So these things have really happened to me. They're out of experience. And sometimes, you know, we can give it a deaf ear and you're like, I don't care. It is not until it happens to you and you're like, you regret, and now you cannot turn back the clocks of time. What has happened has happened. You can never turn the clocks of time and to correct them. But right now, I have that sister still again. If she tells me something, she used to tell me things and she's like, do this. And I'm like, nah, I'm doing this. This one is my friend. This one is my birthday. You know, there's no way we can separate. Not until I noticed that whatever she could tell me, these things could come to pass because she's older than me. So now I don't question whatever she tells me. I go for it and I do it minus questioning. And because you're in your youth, most of the time you feel like you're correct. You know, you feel like every decision you do is the right one. Is the right one. Yeah. But of course, every day we are here. Of course, we want to put up the right time to be here. I think it will be every day at around 10. Exactly 10. Every day at 10 night time. We will always be here. Every day at 10 night time, we will always be here. Of course, as I told you, initially we lost our monetization. So now we started afresh. We are doing new things. We left interviews. We left politics. Now it is going to be more of us jazzing and talking about life. Those are human interest stories, things we can easily relate to. Yeah. And if all goes well, we run this for a year. Yeah. Because I wouldn't say this is trials, because this is, I like talking to you guys. I like to, even for those people who will watch after, yeah, you can always keep, you know, the comment section busy. And that's my WhatsApp number. This number you're seeing here, this is my WhatsApp number. So we can always chat anytime, any day. But I'm telling you, protect your peace, because you come first, yeah? You come first, so it's very important. Back to our topic, for the people who didn't know, they are bad, yeah? They don't care. People don't care. You know, it's like you're moving, and you know, you're coming from very far, you're traveling somewhere, and then you meet people on the way, and because they have to move, and they're like, guys, help me. When they reach their destination and your car breaks down, they've reached their destination. And it is human, by the way. You're not supposed to be like they are bad. They just don't care. Why? Because they've reached their destination. So given the fact that you help them transport them, it doesn't mean they are now going to carry your cross. No. And it is understandable. I have a friend of mine. I've been with him since we were kids. I loved this guy. I loved him. He was my boy. He was my boy. And when things had started like working out, you know, things had started working out, I was like, amongst all the people, let me call my boy. I called my boy. He was coming from northern Uganda. Very far, was in central, and he's in northern Uganda. I called him. I'm like, man, the things we were talking about when we were kids, I think these things are happening. He's like, what? I'm like, these things are happening, man. You should come down here. We make it happen. He's like, are you sure? I'm like, man, sure, come. We are going to make it. Basically, I was going to pass on my knowledge to him. The dreams we had when we were kids, the dreams we had when we were in our teens. And now they are coming true in our 30s. Imagine all this rent, 20 years plus had passed. And now I'm like, no, I have to call my friend. If we succeed together, because we've been together since we were kids. Don't forget the topic. They don't care. He came through, nice and lovely. I started teaching him. I started showing him things and how things are moving and how we can make it. The next day, as you know, I had a sponsor. a sponsor was in a different country, that side of Asia, and now they get into contact, and the guy now is backstabbing me, bad mouthing me, and I was like, what is going on here, man? Because maybe he wanted, I don't know. Sometimes when we are so broke, we do things and I think we are not thinking because we want fast money. That's how we broke up with my friend, man. That's how we broke up with my child friend. I wouldn't blame him still again because it's being human. He had needs, He wanted fast money. I cannot crucify him. No. Why? Because he had needs, He had needs. So he wanted it to be fast. He wanted now. For the people, I did a video which I titled "We Are Poor." The reason why we are poor even when we try. I did a video. You should go watch it. We are poor even when we try because we want things of now. So the reason why people don't care, because we are surviving. They also want to survive. So you're not supposed. Me, most of the time when people do something wrong or something bad, I don't blame them. Sometimes it is where they came from, where they came from, where they grew up from, basically molds the kind of people they become. You become where you came from. If you find someone and they came, now me, I came from a family where they were like, marriage is important. I grew up in a Christian family. We grew up in church. Not just church, we were orphans. So at the end of the day, in church, we grew up in a proper way. So I grew up knowing, hey, if you grow up, you're supposed to get married. Those things I told you, for the people who have been following, they doctrinated into us. And I was this good person. You're supposed to share, you're supposed to love one another. When you get a lady, you're supposed to marry her. I grew up knowing those things. So I was so good. Even the time I worked on TV, mainstream media, I was that good because I thought that's how the world runs, not knowing that's not how it is. I am where I grew up from, and I become the experiences I go through. You get the point? We are where we grew up from, but we become the experience that happened to us. You imagine now, a kid is grown up in a straight family, nice family, father, mother. The reason why I keep bringing this, because that is the first set of a family, it is the first set where you can easily relate. You grew up in such an unorganized family. Now, in between there, maybe there has been maybe a war, So during that time, then they see the things happening, people dying and all that. Before you know it, this kid who was fragile, humble, kind, changes because of now the experiences. She or he was a good person because of where he was born and the community he comes or she comes from. But now because of the experiences, byaisemu bimufuula ekyo kikyali. People just don't wake up to be bad. People become bad because of what they've gone through. And now they end up like they don't care. You're from town, you've hustled, and now you're having your bag with some money. You want to take for kids something, and then a guy comes from nowhere with a paver on the head, You would blame him, but even him, it's not him. Basically, you're not supposed to blame him. It is the experiences he's gone through. You don't know why he's reached that point, because no one is born that way, by the way. No one is born that way. That's why there are prisons. Like, you go there, they try to rehabilitate you, then they bring you back in the community. But again, when they take you in the rehabilitation, you don't come out the same. So that's why I'm advocating for keep your peace and boundaries. Be intentional. The people you associate with, do you know, the first minutes you talk to a person, you can get to know the kind of people they are. Now me, I come here and I talk. If someone has been following and watching me over the years, they will know the kind of a person I am, even when they've not seen me in person. And just because of the videos they've been seeing, they can tell. They're like, this kind of a person is like this. So we don't blame them. But keeping your peace will help you not to change because of the experiences you've gone through. Let them be your friends, but keep a distance. Don't bring them in your space. Yeah? Help them from afar, whether they are your relatives from that side. You know, keep your distance so that they don't change the kind of a person you are to be bad. People just don't care, man. I've seen, you know, they used to say the more you grow, the more knowledge you get. But when we are teens and we are still youths, we always think we are brighter. It is just now that I've grown up that now when an elder man sits down and wants to talk to me, with all the knowledge I think I'm having, I would listen. Why? These guys have gone through it. You could be like, no, this is the .com. We're in the .com world. Brother, listen. You just never know. Today I did not come like I'm prepared. I have a script and everything. No. Today I just came. We have a jazz. We talk. we just jazz. We just talk. So it's very important to keep your peace. Your peace comes first before any other one's peace. Even if you see, they always say, even when you get married, you become one. Yeah, become one. But becoming one doesn't mean infringing on my rights and, you know, you're not supposed to do this because now we are one. You're not supposed to. No. Your peace has to come first. Because I keep telling you, life is so short. We don't know how long we're going to be living. Life is so short. We don't know how long we're going to be living. So it's very important to keep our peace so that the people and the experiences don't change who we are. You're getting the point? Even if you watch this one a little later, for my guys who are used to watching during day, that's my WhatsApp. We can always be chatting, you know. We can always be chatting. For how long have we been talking? Because I'm supposed to be here for like just an hour and it is just 32 minutes. So it's very important, please. The people we started with on the road, one by one, they go off. And you sit there. That's why people end up being depressed, having anxiety, because life did not go as planned. Now me, I keep telling people I'm living off grid. Yeah, I'm off grid. For now, I just don't mind people. I don't care what people talk about me, what they think about me. I just don't care, because at the end of the day, what you think about me doesn't change who I am. And now you have to be intentional. You have to speak up. You know, there are things that happen in our lives, yeah? And you know, people step on you, yeah? You have to stand up for yourself. What you don't want, you know, when it comes to us Africans, even when we don't want something, we try to show like we really like it, even when we don't like it. Now me, I'm past that stage, and you should pass also that stage. If you don't want something, talk. Be like, I don't want that. When it comes to my son, if he doesn't want something, he tells you, Daddy, I don't want that. And you're like, but this is, no, I don't want that, I want the other one. Being decisive is very important. You know, I've seen people, you know, they go and then they are giving them food and they are giving them, you know, they're filling the food with everything. And they're not decisive. And when they go to sit on the dining table, then they're like, you know, I don't eat this and I don't like this. Me, I talk. Like me, I don't eat matoke. I go to a party and I'm seeing people are going to serve me. I tell them, yo, boss, I don't take matoke. Yeah, I don't take matoke. Don't put it there. And if you're putting, don't put so much. I have a small appetite. Put a little. I'm decisive. I know what I want. There are those people, you know, like me. Even if you visit my place, I ask. Even if I'm going to cook, yeah, I told them a single dad. I stay with my son, a 3-year-old son. So when someone comes, I ask them, do you want to eat? In Africa, they say that is impolite. But I want to know if you want to eat or you don't want. Because if it's me and it's not time, because me, I don't take breakfast, I don't take lunch, I don't take supper. If I feel hungry, that's when I eat. So you will not just come from far, come to your place and you're serving me. Who has told you to serve me? I don't want. So why are you serving me? So people don't care, but again, we're not supposed to blame them. We are supposed to protect our space. Protect your space so that it doesn't change the person you become. Some people are so good, and people forget the more good someone is the worst they can become. The more nice, kind, patient, tolerant someone is the worst they can become. Is the worst because now they've gone through experiences. They were not born like that, but because of the experiences of life, they change. And when they change, God, because they've been into and they see which is better, and now they become defensive. And if someone becomes defensive, those are the kids you find who grew up with stepmothers, kids who are tortured, and now they are defensive. They don't talk. They calculate how to survive, because of the past experiences they went through. You get the point? So people are really bad. Every person who is watching, and every person who is watching this, you've gotten a time when people have backstabbed you and people have done the worst to you, and you feel bad. And the problem is, if we don't learn from our experiences, if you don't learn from your experiences. Now, me, the time I've been there, I had failed to learn from my experiences. I could repeat the same things. I don't know why. Because maybe, or where I grew up from, really had been there for so long that I got an attachment that I could do the same mistakes today, the other day. But now I've grown up, I've matured to start taking caution. Now I'm calculated. Now I'm smarter. Now I'm intentional. So that it doesn't change, though it already changed the person in me because of the experiences I went through. There are people I will be like, nah, I want to protect my space. I don't want to become a bad person. That's what you're supposed to do. But people, everyone here, something has happened. And some people, the worst has happened because they didn't learn from the experiences and they lost their lives. Now, that is the maximum of it. This is the topic, yeah? They don't care. But again, you're not supposed to blame them. Me, whenever someone does something, I'm like, no, don't blame them, man. Where them come from? Where they come from? Yeah? You find someone, they are mean, they are greedy. But you finding out, you find they come from a family of 20 people, and those 20 people, they could have a meal. It was survival for the fittest. So they grow up being mean. They don't want to share, because even when now they have abundant, yeah, now they are in abundance. But they are still stingy. It's because where they grew up from. They grew up in a family, and these things happen sometimes without even us knowing. So sometimes it's also very good. That's why I always talk about self-discovery. You lay back and look at your life and you're like, what is not going right? What is going wrong? You reflect. Do you know there are people? That's why sometimes it's good to have your own time. Have your own time. Have your own space. Think about you. Yeah? Think about you. Think about yourself. And then you reflect. But because we be in places with a lot of noise, I told you, for the people who have been following, that's why you're supposed to be subscribed, and so that each time we come live or we put up a video, you're among the first people to be watching, because I keep relating with the videos that we did. Yeah, I spent like a year in a noisy place. The only quiet time I could get is when I was sleeping, but even when I was sleeping, music was playing. So at the end of the year, I made a reflection, and I had done nothing with my life. I've been in a noisy place that I didn't get any time to reflect about me. By the time it happened, it was too late, but of course it can never be too late as long as you're still having life. Okay, yeah. So we always come here, have these chats, we'll keep on charting. We're going to be doing this for like 6 months. Then we'll add on the 6 months. We see where it will take us. But of course, it's now 11:51 at exactly 12. That's when we're supposed to be ending. That's my WhatsApp number. We can always be chatting and talking. Yeah, you can send in your reactions. Then on Bully the Show was. So, without further ado, I want to say thank you very much, and of course for the people who have been here, for the people who stayed with me when we started, until when we catch up tomorrow. Thank you very much. Luze Andrew Anderson is my name, and of course, in case you felt like what I communicated to you, it is easy. Go ahead, subscribe, hit the notification button so that each time I put up a video, you're among the first people to watch, or also to watch when we do live. So I still remain Luze Andrew Anderson. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night from wherever you are catching us from. Let's support each other in one way or another, because we lose totally nothing. Until then, bless ya.